Welcome to the Big Kickoff Sports Bar with myself, Roy Shanahan, David Bogle and Nathan Doyle. Neil Dobbs, sadly, is no longer with us now after the last few results, so he may not be around again. I'm only messing. Of course, Neil will be back on Tuesday. Is it Tuesday? The Serbia game?
He was in today, I'd say.
Don't remind us, Roy. Jesus Christ.
Okay, listen. Republic of Ireland won. Azerbaijan won. 112th, is that what it was in the world? It could be more than that. It could be 120 something. I don't know what it is. But it's a miserable day for Republic of Ireland fans, miserable day for Republic of Ireland players, and a miserable day for the manager Stephen Kenny. Dave, it was said, Lisa Fallon said it on the telly, it's a results business, and he's not getting the results.
Yeah, beforehand, I was going, where am I going to go when we come on? Because it's just the same old script, unfortunately. And I don't want to be overly negative, and it's hard not to be when we can't wax lyrical about, we played well at patches and we're still learning and kids. But some teams are just, it doesn't matter. We should be beating them regardless. And results-wise today is shite. End of story. It's just crap. And I will copy and paste Kevin Doyle. He nailed it on the head. They seem to be doing the bigger picture stuff that Kenny wants, but it's the tiny little things, misplays, missing out on the crosses against Portugal, as Nathan mentioned the other day. And let's be honest, our go-to guy, Coleman, so slack for that goal. It was 5 or 6 seconds, and he did nothing to get close enough. Show me all the if you want to bring somebody else into it, I don't care. He's the one and only, because that's who I would look to and trust to do a good job, and he just let it fly, and that little thing just ruined the game. And then all of a sudden we had to go at it in the second half, and we did a fine job of going at them and pinning them in as best as possible, but once again we had to rely on our big men to get us out of a hole again, which is worrying. We did some things that were nice to see, but at the same time, just the results killed it. It's very, we can't sit here and say how good so many things were when the result just completely let us down. We've 1 point in 4, lads. We're going to struggle to get third. We've won winning 15 under Kenny. There comes a point where it's hard to keep trying to put the positive spin on it. Not that I want to get the axe and grind it and stick it in his back, yes, but it's hard to kind of go down the positive route all the time when that happens today.
And it's not mad, even Dave, just for what you were talking about the Azerbaijan goal. You could see even the shot wasn't his first preference. How many times did he look up to pick out a pass? 3 or 4 times.
To do whatever he wanted.
Plenty of times, and just you point out Coleman, perfect example, but there was 2 or 3 other lads.
Yeah, absolutely.
Josh Cullen as well, holding around the edge of the box, and no effort whatsoever to be made to close him down. Even the close down in initial pass that he was looking for, there was nothing at all there. The space he had in such a dangerous position was crazy.
And exactly what Roy said there about Lisa Fallon. She hit the nail on the head a couple of times. She showed the warning sign about 10 or 15 minutes before that, where Coleman didn't get close again, and a guy got a shot in, and Bazuna pushed it past the post. So the warning sign was there, and then it happened again. And he is one of our top players, our experienced players, and our captain. And even he's doing the little things wrong, and that's why I'm frustrated. I'm not going to have a go at him or anything like that, but this is the little things that are absolutely killing us. Bang on the money.
The North, our level. We thought of this, and Robert's saying the same. The North won 4-1 away from home. We can't see this happening soon for the Republic of Ireland. Nathan, it was something that I thought the other day when I was looking at the North. They're getting results. The players they have aren't any better than the ones that we have. Right. They're not any worse than what we have. Yep. But at this stage now, we've been backing Stephen Kenny to the hilt. With what way he's been doing stuff, but you have to get results at some stage now.
Yeah, big time. Like Dave was saying, third place really out of question. World Cup is 100% out of question. And even when the initial group was drawn out, look at Portugal. That'll be what it will be. We should be scrapping with Serbia. But them 4 games, against Luxembourg and Azerbaijan, they're the ones that you need to be taking 3 points on all them occasions. And the fact we've dropped points at Luxembourg and Azerbaijan at home especially, it just cannot be happening. Look, Rob makes a great point there. I can't say I'm a major follower of Northern Ireland. I'd love to be able to pick out reasons behind it or the aspects of why they're performing better than ourselves. But yeah, in the results business, I go with what he said after the Portugal game. You have to give Kenny till the end of this qualifying campaign. Personally, in my opinion, I know a lot of people will differ with that. Chopping and changing and bringing somebody in, it won't make any difference to the bottom line. But yeah, it's we can't sit here like Dave touched on. We can't sit here and be positive and talk about the chances we created and the possession in the second half in particular, because this is an Azerbaijan side that we just should be beaten home or away. There should be no question about it. It's look, to give them their due. They held their shape well, didn't they? Especially in the second half, they made it difficult at times. The goalkeeper in particular was really good to watch. Very positive coming off his line. He was decent with balls coming in. He was happy to come out and collect them. But that's just to give them their due. Yeah, this is something that we shouldn't even be talking about. We should be beating the sides like Azerbaijan, especially at home. Like there's no excuses for that.
It's not. Johnny says 4 games in and we're out of another tournament. Trapp and O'Neill were god awful to watch, but do results count for more? Play nice ball, but toothless. There's the question for you, Dave. Do results count for more? Because we've always said that we didn't like Trapattoni and O'Neill, the style that they played. It was awful to watch. We said we actually did say this, Dave, and plenty of people have said it. We'd be happy to see a better brand of football and lose. So we're seeing a better brand of football, but again, as Johnny said, it's toothless, and we're not getting any results.
Yeah, Johnny's 100% right with the final phrase there. We play nice ball, but toothless at the minute.
Yeah.
We can't go and buy players. This is international football. We have to make the best of what we have. And even Ida there, he had a couple of half-decent chances tonight himself, and unfortunately didn't take them. Another solid performance from him. I think Collins came on too late, to be honest, to try and help alleviate, kind of, because Ida was doing what he was doing well, but he probably needs a man beside him if he's going to hold it up all day. But it is a results game at the end of the day. I would have wrote off this qualification provided we were kind of comfortably in third. Do you know what I mean? If we were comfortably in third thereabouts, and it looked like we were on the upper curve, but we've an upper curve of performances, but that's irrelevant if the results aren't going with it. Like, the results need to kind of go hand in hand. They might be bang on it, but they need to start slowly going. Like, our results are going that way. Our performances are going that way, and the results are just flat. And they need to start kind of catching up at some point, and it's not happening. And unfortunately, it will. As I said to you before, whether we are Kenny or the way he wants to play, I think that's probably the message. It's the way he wants to play is what I want to see. But this is going to be the big debate. Are they all rowing in behind him? That's what I want to see. The first 15 minutes, I would have said, yeah, it looked like they were enjoying themselves. Like,
again,
they were
playing first 15 minutes, first half against Portugal.
Yeah, it looked like they were enjoying themselves. And I was like, Jesus, maybe they're really getting into this now. And then it all went out the window as soon as that goal went in, which, as what Doyle said, these tiny, tiny little mistakes. Kyle's bang on the money. We've only, it is incredibly hard to qualify for World Cups. That's why I would be, not now, but before the campaign, would have wrote this off, because 24 teams into the European competition is more realistic, 100%. But in the next 4 games, we need to see something. Otherwise, unfortunately for him, he's in trouble.
Yeah. Kyle just said there as well, we've got a lot of young players, Nathan. Yeah. There's the under-21s. There seems to be a lot of talent in that under-21 side. So is it the focus for 2024 for the European Championships? We could say yes, but that doesn't mean Stephen Kenny's going to be around, does it?
Yeah. No, it doesn't at all. And just like you touched on the 21s, he got a brilliant win, didn't he, away to Bosnia-Herzegovina to kick off their qualifying campaign for the European Championships. Even before the squad is announced, we talked about how frail that the midfield is in the senior team, and how the likes of Gavin Kilkenny in particular didn't come in. Or even Conor Coventry, I know he's not playing much at club level, but just to have him in around the squad, he's clearly a talented player, and he's someone that even off the bench could probably add something in the last 20 minutes or something a little bit different. But yeah, you'd wonder, is Kenny going to be there? We can sit here and talk about it, can't we, and say, like you mentioned, we look forward now. We just write this campaign off, and use it as a learning experience for Kenny with some of these younger players, because he's had a lot of them at the under-21s level as well. But yeah, it's difficult to see because he's under pressure now, big time. He was. It's sort, isn't it? I don't know about you, but I think it's probably a basic thing to say. But the feel-good factor is now gone. There's a little bit of positivity around after the Portugal game, even though we got beaten. looking at the performance and how close we were, and you thought, God, this could kick starters now, this could turn things around, and maybe learn the mistakes from the Luxembourg game, but yeah, it's just gone back to flatness, and trying to pick up any positivities is quite hard to do at the moment.
Richard Colley says we should be playing 4-4 fecking 2. I like the fecking, keep it Irish. Playing for set plays, long balls into the box, recognise our strengths and play to them. Dave, I'm going to get you to reply to Richard on that one. A lot of people say, listen, we got to stick with what we've been doing since Jack took over and it's been working. But in all fairness, Mick McCarthy changed that around when he had better players. But does that mean Northern Ireland don't necessarily play that way? And I'm sure that you can play that kind of mix of football where there's a bit of everything.
Yeah, because when Northern Ireland got to the Euros in 2016, they played a nice brand of ball, a bit of a hybrid, and a lot of their joy was from Johnny Evans' headers. Not Johnny Evans, Glenn McCauley. So there's a way of doing a bit of both. And I think the way Kenny wants to play, like you've seen it tonight, the way they played incorporated a lot of what Richard has said there, a lot of kind of set pieces anyway, with some of our play, with some great areas for example, Howard came on. And unfortunately, we have too many players who are the same, and him and Brady are the same. So only one should be in the squad. There's no need for two. They do the same thing, which is nothing except get involved when it's a set play. That's all they do. Yeah. And I will say it to their face: you do nothing except wait for a corner or a free kick, and even still, you don't do it consistently enough. And if somebody says from a goal 5 years ago, get the boat. Like Shane Long, we can't live off one goal or one moment for the rest of your career. Like, I don't care about the header in 2016. They don't do it every day, week in, week out. And this is the biggest problem, especially with our midfield. They don't play enough. Josh Cullen, the reason why he looks a cut above everyone else is because he plays week in, week out. Now, he could be a better player as well. I'm not going to deny that. But he plays week in, week out. And that's the big difference in the last two games. Everyone else is not playing. And that's why they just don't seem to be able to do it like that, especially of all the positions. Midfield is the big one because that's where it's most busy. That's where the body's everywhere, and it's sharp. Cullen looked like he could see it a bit slower than everyone else and do the basics while everyone else was struggling because of that. Because like all the triangles and on the wing when just get the ball in the box. Now I'll agree with him there because one fella jumped out the most because he had to take 5 and 6 touches instead of taking a touch and whipping it in, and it was my pal. You know who he is, Mr. McLean. Far too many touches. Touch in. No, I'll touch it 6, 7 times and get blocked the majority of the time. So frustrating. He's bang on the money. Far too long. Get it in quick. Cause havoc. Because I've no issue with that. Because not many teams actually do it. And when they do, it causes awful.
Yeah.
Been a great servant. Yeah. Passes best. Bingo. He finished it off for me there.
Okay. So... this is interesting from Johnny. Every FAI Academy plays 4-3-3, and this is what I wanted to bring up because the starting lineup and the changes that he made. They played 4-3-3 in emerging talent. Then our seniors go 3 at the back. Are we breeding players to play in these systems? Parrott, Connolly were square pegs and round holes tonight. Coleman at centre back, some strange positions for me. So, Johnny, I'm delighted you brought that up because that's the question I was going to start the show off with. 14 minutes in, we've really got over a lot of things and we've got around to it finally. The starting lineup, Nathan.
Yeah,
it's odd because while I don't think that you have to play 4-3-3, even though you're brought up with that all the way through, he decided over the last few games that he was going to go with 3-5-2 or 3-4-1-2, whatever way you want to look at it. Then he decides today to change it around and go 3-4-3, and it didn't make sense to me because they played really well in the first half against Portugal. Again, you were never going to be pushed back like that against Azerbaijan in the second half, like Portugal pushed us back. So it seemed to be a system that did very well for us. So does he know what his best shape is for the players that he has? To me, and it looks like to Johnny, he doesn't.
Yeah, and even just to go off that for a little second as well, it's somebody going to starting 11. Like for me, I was very surprised not to see Jamie Maguire in the starting 11. Like I said, the other night, I didn't think he looked out of place at all in that Portuguese midfield. So to change it up with certain players like that was bizarre. It's again having Connolly in the starting 11 as well. It was just touched on there by Johnny that he was completely out of position, didn't look comfortable at all. In either night, really, I just saw the same against Portugal. It was the usual, a lot of huffing and puffing coming through, but yeah, the changeover, somewhat what winning forward that they seem to work against the Portuguese and to mix it up against the side of Azerbaijan there. Ireland were expected to do a lot of the pressing, wasn't it? That was a lot of the story coming into the game, where we were expecting Azerbaijan to sit deep. But then, in fairness, in the first half, they were comfortable enough having a goal, but we shot ourselves in the foot. A lot of the chances of Azerbaijan in the first half were they were self-made by us, and it was a lot of played 4-2-3. Yeah, and I did going back to what you were saying.
This is ongoing now on Facebook, where they're discussing what the emerging talent play. Yeah. Again, it doesn't make a difference once you're going into the national team. The national team has to play. You just can't play a formation. You've got to play a formation that suits the players that you have. If we have 3 brilliant centre backs, you're probably going to play 3 brilliant centre backs, and you have 2 wing backs who are outstanding. You're going to play that, and that's the way we were the other night. There is no reasons why we couldn't slot in another centre back in there tonight and still leave Coleman and Doherty as wing backs, Nathan.
Yeah, because that's where we got a lot of a look against Portugal. Was it them two as wing backs? Again, I'm surprised not see even the likes of Obama starting here today. With the slot of in, he just looked a lot more comfortable. Yeah, so what we 13 games in the Stephen Kenny era, and 15. The fact we're still 15, even more. Jesus. So, and the fact we're still talking about finding his best formation, finding his best starting 11 is probably the biggest issue for me. Putting out results, obviously the results are the big issue as well, but yeah, someone that by now we should definitely be looking at. You should know who's the most comfortable players to play in them positions with them formations. And yeah, look, you don't always have to go with 4-2-3 because that's where a lot of them play in emerging talent. The professional footballers should be used to changing systems around where at club and at country level. But yeah, it is a major issue, isn't it? That we're still 15 games in, we're still having these discussions.
Yeah, the front three, Troy Parrott played. I thought it was a strange decision after Ida was excellent. I thought up front again. I thought he worked hard. He kept the ball well. He, linked up really well. He caused them problems. And Dave, your buddy Connolly was on the left-hand side. And again, never really seemed to get... I wouldn't say he never got into it, but never really did too much when getting onto the ball, did he?
Yeah, the 2 guys either side of Adam Ida were probably the quietest of all the 11, I'd be honest, in the first half. Parrott, only for the flash shot he had in the second half, I didn't really remember anything of any significance in the first half. Conley had one kind of quick cross into Ida where he just flashed it past, and then he had one shot where didn't quite catch it, hit the front post. Not sure if that's what he wanted. Did he want to go far post? But after that, there was kind of... I think what they were trying to get them to do was play a little bit closer to Ida and be between kind of half, the point between the touchline and the 18-yard line. It was kind of in between, halfway between that and the 18-yard line, halfway in between, and then leave that channel for arguably McLean and Doherty to get in.
But that never happened, Dave, did it?
Oh, no, 100%. But that's what
that's why I'm questioning, was that because,
I think so, because they weren't wide. The 2 of them were not wide. Now, McLean and Doherty didn't, but the boys were not wide. They weren't hugging the touchline. I think the intention was to try and get them in closer to Ida, so when he does take it down. But the midfield and the defence didn't feed Ida. Instead, Egan did it once and went, I'll do it as many times as I can, and do that long, slow switch. And then a couple of others tried a few kind of just sideways. But that kind of cutting ball between the defence and midfield, or between... Yeah, from defence to past the midfield into the Ida, just didn't happen. I'm not saying that's what I imagined, and the way the positioning of the 2 lads, I thought that's why, because they weren't wide at all, and I think it was to support him more, but they didn't feed it into Ida at all.
Okay. Richard says the guy from Brighton was a shining light, he thought. Jason Malumbi. I seen balls that IE gave him a 3 out of 10, so it shows you what way football can be viewed. What do you think, Nathan? The 3 lads in midfield, well, I suppose the 2 lads in midfield, Cullen and Malumbi. You had McLean and who was on the right-hand side?
Doherty.
Yeah. Matt Doherty, yeah.
What did you make of them?
Hard to really say much about them. They didn't. I personally didn't see Malumbi do an awful lot in the game. I don't know what you think. I didn't see him as a major shining light today. I think like we touched on Adamita already. He was probably the one for me that stood out the most. It was difficult, I think, especially for Josh Cullen. You know, for me, he seems most comfortable sort of sitting just in front of the back four. And there's times even today you're seeing John Egan going on runs and nearly acting as a striker. So I think he probably slipped in and covered a little bit there. Yeah, we're looking at.
In the first half, Cullen probably dictated the play an awful lot. There was a lot of balls that he was getting in behind their back three. Was it a back three that they had? That there was a few times Matt Doherty got in behind and Ida get in behind, and he was the one who was
in the game. Yeah.
Did go out of it more in the second half, but I thought in the two games with Portugal and here today, he'd be the one that I'd be looking at saying, well, he's probably not done himself any harm.
Yeah, and he's playing consistently at club level as well, which is something that a lot of the midfielders in this squad are struggling to do. Yeah, I think it was in the first 5 minutes, wasn't it, where Cullen hit a diagonal ball into Doherty and made a great run, and that was something that was being looked at. We needed to do at the start of the game, because we knew Azerbaijan were going to keep such a tight formation, such a tight shape, and they hit them diagonal balls into the runners was badly needed. And yeah, look, he probably could have done it a little bit more with some of the moving off the ball, but yeah, if you're looking at the midfielders, like you said, in these two games, Cullen's probably the brightest spark. And yeah, anyone after that, again, I don't know. I'd like to actually get to what you was thinking about Malumbi, because I have to say I don't agree with Richard on that one. I didn't see Malumbi do an awful lot.
I really think it's coming from he was in moments that you'd remember more so than
actually. He had a couple of header chances and stuff, but yeah,
left foot that, you know, it wasn't too bad. Tried to curl it in, didn't get enough whip on. Obviously, he was involved in a header with the ref. He stuck his leg out and kind of took it. Like, he was, personally, I think the reason why Malumbi was noticed, because he was in one or two memorable moments, whether they were good, bad, or indifferent. And I say that's probably where, for some people, like I said, perception is a massive thing.
Definitely.
If you keep seeing him, maybe that's why you think he is. But deep down, when you think about it, did what he do, was it that fantastic? Maybe not. But that's where I seen Malumbi today. He kind of was remembered in moments, but whether, like, not necessarily all for good, you know.
Yeah, don't know what people are expecting from this Irish team. Not good enough to be successful. People need to be realistic. Dave, I'll go with you on that one. What do you reckon? Did you just think that, listen, we're not good enough? What do we see coming through? Will we be even good enough for the next Euros?
I'll be honest with you, I thought it was a Liverpool badge there, because there's a couple of different types of fans. There's the fans who just hate Ireland at the moment, and they're rubbish. And do you know who they are? They're the spoiled brats who only want to be supporting United and Liverpool and Man City. They don't like the fact that one of their teams is ordinary and they might lose a few matches. They don't want to know Ireland anymore. But they'll be back. As soon as we qualify for a tournament, they'll be back wearing more than we will. And they're annoying as fook, you know, and they hate Ireland at the minute. I hate listening to them, because they're just spoiled brats who just are only used to their team winning every week, all right?
Dave, Irish people posting online about how great it was to see Ronaldo scoring two goals.
Yeah. Exactly. Like, they're the ones, and there's loads of them, because they can't cope with the fact that one of their teams, which is their biggest team really, is Ireland, are just very, very ordinary, and they can't cope with it. Like, I enjoy still watching Ireland, and I get a buzz. I get a better buzz out of Ireland winning the game, because it's so effing rare compared to Liverpool. Like, it's a better buzz when Ireland win, and that's why I was looking forward today, because I had a bit of nerves, because there was no guarantee we were going to win today. But I was like, geez, if we got to win, it'd be great. You know, that's it. I wasn't thinking about winning anything or qualifying. I just wanted to see Ireland win. That's it. So, as regards realistic, I would be. There's guys in the middle who are quite realistic. I would say coming third in this group before the group even started, I'd have been happy. Because qualifying from World Cup, I can't remember the guy, sorry about that, but 13 qualify from Europe, and we're nowhere near the top 13. So it would have been, we're up against it no matter who's in our group. But the fact of the matter is, yes, we should be beating Azerbaijan. I think after today's performance alone should show why we should be beating them. I'm not saying we should hammer them, but we should win. And we should be beating Luxembourg. And that's where my reality is at the moment. And if we beat them, I'd be happy. And if we put it up to Portugal and Serbia, I'm not saying we're going to win them, because even Portugal, the game on the other night, let's be honest, when we talked about it, you know, we wrote our luck in the second half as we expected, and we would have robbed the win per se. I'm not saying we never dominate the top sides and win 1-0. We get our bit of luck, you know, and that's the reality of it as well. And then you've got people who just will think everything is positive. Conley's brilliant. He's amazing. Everyone. And you're like, calm down. You know, I know why you're doing it, and I know who some people are. I know why you're doing it, because you're playing the game, because you have to. But you be a bit realistic as well and say, today was not good enough, no matter who you're a fan of. It wasn't good enough.
Para Ida Connolly are all 19, 20, 21. It's a young squad relatively. And of course, as we said, some good players coming through. They need time.
Maybe.
But it's a results-based business. And as Richard said, he said, get Mick on the phone would have got us out of this group. So I think we'll just talk. I think we'll talk about that, Nathan.
He didn't get us
out of the last group.
Yeah.
He didn't get us out of the last group.
No,
I don't think he would have got us out of this group at all. I think they're looking at the group coming out.
It's a results-based business, Nathan, and he's not getting results. And in all fairness, he's probably up there with one of at the moment as one of the worst Irish managers of all time on a results basis.
He is. No, I think he is.
If not the worst. Yeah. So why should we give Stephen Kenny, or why should the FAI give Stephen Kenny more time? What signs are there? What is there to say that he's actually going to bring them through? Because when we talked about Northern Ireland, as it was said by one of the viewers, if they're getting results, the likes of Laurie Sanchez went in, Michael O'Neill went in, and even now, they're getting results, but with an average enough side. Yeah. But we have a side there that are toothless, again, to quote one of our viewers. So why should he get more time?
There's nothing guaranteed, and it's basically what you've been saying, and it's similar to what Johnny was saying. It's the prospect, isn't it? It's the prospect of this could happen. It's all hypothetically speaking, that some of these younger players could come through and could do this and could do that. There's no certainty, there's no guarantees whatsoever, and he seriously could be under major pressure. I've said a lot of times, I hope he doesn't get taken out of the job, and a bad result on Tuesday, genuinely, in my opinion, could really, really see him being on the chopping block.
Because Nathan, right?
Yeah.
I think we all know where not our loyalties lie, but we want to see it work and this, that, and the
other. Of course, yeah.
We're going to have to do this. But he's got to go if we don't even get one win out of this group.
Yeah.
And at the moment, there's a chance of that.
Yeah,
we
there is.
We've away to Luxembourg and Azerbaijan, and then we Serbia and Portugal at home. And it doesn't matter where they are. If we don't win one single game or only get another point or two, it doesn't matter who we are. Even if it was Pep Guardiola, they got to go.
Yeah, big time, big time.
I'm regardless. I fully expected us to get win tonight and potentially push on the other day. So that's why I've never been saying it before. So I'm not kind of just turning and shooting from the hip. But realistic, if we don't win a qualifying game in 8 matches with some of the teams in this group, it doesn't matter anymore. I couldn't defend them. I couldn't defend any manager.
No, like the prospect that we could finish bottom in this group, it's crazy, isn't it? When the group were first drawn out, like. I again, I don't want to be picking on Richard, but I disagree with him. I don't think Mick McCarthy would have got us out of this group at all. I think it was always going to be Portugal and Serbia. The miles ahead of the 3 other sides in this group. I don't think it would have mattered. And same reason why I don't want to see Kenny get the chop after the next game or so. I just don't think anyone could realistically make a difference that could come into the squad and that could realistically come in and take over as Ireland manager. Like there's going to be big names, and I think even Neil said, no joking, he was talking about Frank Lampard coming in after the last one. But if we are being realistic at managerial prospects, there's nobody
psychologically evaluated if he that job.
I think anybody would at this stage, really. Yeah,
we'll come back to Stephen Kenny just in a second. Says, but did the game against Portugal affect us today, Dave? If we played Azerbaijan first in this window, would we have beaten them? I suppose it's not a bad question to ask.
It's a very, very, very good point because it's something that we brought up a couple of times because we don't have a lot of match fit players, and there would have been a lot of lads who would have given it absolutely everything and a bit extra on Thursday. I don't know whether it was purely tactical, but Conley lasted a half. Edith managed to, fair play to him, stick it out, but you could see that the boys like Edith actually outran practically Egan and Duffy to get back and was like the main centre half for one of the counter-attacks with 10 minutes to go because the lads were dead on their feet. So it's a very fair point. It doesn't get them out of jail, in my opinion, but it's a very fair point because it's ultimately probably down to match fitness, which half of our lads are lacking.
Yeah, sorry, I had a little smile on my face for the next.
I just seen the next one.
Here we go. Let's go.
There it is. Glazers out. Shite manager.
There you go. Mank. Spoiled man, like a spoiled Scouser, like a spoiled Man City fan, they can't cope with following an ordinary team, and then they have to say everyone's rubbish and they're brutal. So what? Get behind them and enjoy it when they win. Get your hot bottle, sit in the stony terraces and enjoy it.
Nathan, with the Irish side again with Stephen Kenny, just because we've started to play a style of football that we're able to pass the ball around and the results haven't come, does that necessarily mean that results will come down the line? Because there are such things as good managers and poor managers. And Mikel Arteta at Arsenal, who we talk about on the Big Kickoff Football Show every Sunday at 8 o'clock, when we talk about Mikel Arteta, we don't exactly be patting him on the back for the style of play and how he's managing his side, even though the style of play is exactly how, Stephen Kenny wants to play football.
And it's even, for me, it hasn't been a complete overhaul. You're seeing more so the style of play is in terms of the build-up. We still rely on, like we've seen today, a lot of set pieces, a lot of crosses into the box. It's more so just the build-up play. So instead of getting the ball from the centre half up to the strikers, we seem to be a bit more comfortable and confident on the ball with our midfielders and spreading out wide and getting these crosses in. I want to see Glazers out said something about the League of Ireland there, just caught me eye. It's just the League of Ireland ahead of me coming up. But it really doesn't. It's I said it a long time. I'd love to see us getting away from the style of football we relied on for the past 30 years or so, and it's slowly but surely coming in. But no,
does that mean we have to take some pain?
It doesn't guarantee results at all. It's the fucking hypothetical question again. It's all could be. It's all relying on lads to come in and be playing regularly at club level, to come in and a good run of form, good momentum, getting used to the system that Kenny has them in. Because I don't think, like we were talking about earlier, I don't think he still knows the best formation, the still players. Just he's trying to accommodate all the bigger names in the squad, and might not be the best way to go about it.
But surely he should know the best system that is.
That's what we were saying earlier. The fact we're having this conversation.
He's looking at the players week in, week out. He knows what players he has there. He knows every player, not just in his first 11, not just in his squad, but the whole pool of Irish players willing to play for the country. He knows what squad we have. So surely he should know the best system for the best players that he has available to him.
Yeah, you won't hear me disagreeing with you at all. That's what I'm saying. The fact we're having this conversation 15 games in, it's fucking ridiculous. We should be setting his head before the squad announcements are even made. He was going to be playing where, instead of just trying to, like mentioned earlier, fit round pegs into circle holes, just to accommodate the bigger name players and put them into a system that they're clearly not comfortable in playing.
Okay, so we go back to Glazers. Glazers out. Just because he's been a success and he does change that, what he means in League of Ireland doesn't mean he's the man for the job. Dave?
Absolutely. But it's very easy to say it after 15 matches. Now, a lot of people would have said it before the first game even, because there would be a lot of ignorant people who didn't want him in the first place because it's all about the Premier League and nothing else. And they probably want another foreign manager, But, this is the beauty, and this is why there's many people on, and this is why we enjoy doing what we're doing, because we like talking about football, and I might have one opinion and yours might be the completely opposite, and who's right or who's wrong is it depends on who wants to agree with you. I don't think either opinion would be right, but it's kind of, some people might agree with me and some people might agree with you, and in this instance with Kenny, 100% need to be more direct, all these bad passes. Richard wants to play the other way, and guess what? It could work. It could be the only way we play, and it might be the only one that works. And I get that, but I like the fact that we tried to change. Now, if it obviously quite clearly doesn't work, Kenny can't go back to that way. So Kenny needs to be sacked, and he needs to bring somebody in to go back to that way. Because if he goes to that way, I'd sack him, because he needs to stick to what he knows. So that could be the one and only way, and we'll have to put our hands up and make do with it as best as we can. But I still think the likes of O'Neill, there's a small window in the Euros, in the actual Euros in 2016, and for the first half of the next qualifying campaign, where we played a way that even I was happy with, where it was a bit of both, and we were quite enjoyable to watch. Now, obviously, tournament football, you have to be a bit more positive, but I thought that spilled out. I was pissed off after the Serbia game because I thought we should have won the game. It was a positive pissed off because we were well in that game and gave them a good go. We bet Austria away, and it was like, Jesus, it's clicking. And then second half of the group, he went straight back to type. What we have, we hold. Negative, and we barely fell over the line. We failed in the playoff against Denmark. So there's my evidence of why it does work, but it also doesn't work, because he went too negative and we fell over, you know. Why did we play well against Portugal? Probably nothing to lose. Maybe because we had nothing to lose. You know, there's an element of that. And like what we said on the other night, Portugal were literally up. It was for the Ronaldo show for the first half, and then they realised it was a real game of football. They didn't give us the credit that we deserved. So that's probably why we looked much better in the first half, which is no shock. But the second half, it was pretty much all Portugal, whether people like it or not.
Back to the wall, big time,
took it serious. They took it serious. So that's why for most of the game, we looked like we played well. Let's be realistic about it.
Nathan, the worst thing that Stephen Kenny would want, but is going to get now, is another match. And that's there, whether he likes it or not. So I'm sure he would have hoped for October and just to settle things down. But we have Serbia again. We go out. We go out and lose against Serbia. Could you see changes after this window? Because effectively we're out anyhow. It's up to the FAI now, really. They're going to make a decision now whether they feel after this window that there's progression being made, or that they need to get someone else in to start changing for the next Euros. Because for the FAI, these tournaments are big money.
Yeah, majorly. Yeah, I said it even earlier in the programme. I wouldn't be shocked if we did. I honestly, I don't expect us to get anything against Serbia. They're on a decent run of form. It's some really talented players in that squad. Mitrovic is on fire at the moment in the group, isn't he? He got 6 goals already.
Yeah.
In the opening couple of games. I really wouldn't be shocked. Again, like I said last time, don't want to be repeating myself. I'd hate to see it happen, but the pressure's on. It's been on for a long time now. Let's look at the comments. You know, we're seeing people that are fed up with it, and rightly or wrongly, I think that we should still see it out and give it time. And we are where we are at the moment. I think anyone could come in and make a difference. Like, there's actually one, even for people looking and want to get involved. Realistically, throw out a name who would come in and make a difference, and that's out looking for a job at the minute. Because I'm sure if someone was looking at the Portugal game, all of a sudden that Ireland job might be a little bit not glamorous, but you know, there's a couple of good young players there, there's a couple of good performances, but looking to play here against Luxembourg and Azerbaijan, it's far from an appealing job to come in. Like we were joking about Frank Lampard, anyone coming in, it's a serious.
The lure of the Euros is going to be huge. You know, the lure of the Euros to not even have a half a chance of a playoff spot in that will be unforgivable for any manager, no matter how faithful you are to them. And as I said, if we end up with no wins, it's not going to be a question of whether he's there or not. I fear for him. I think he's going to have to pull one hell of a rabbit out of a hat, and I just don't think it's there.
Big time.
I'm not sure. It's like they want to win, draw, play shite. Listen, I know. I think there's a lot of people who are hurt about the games, about how we're playing. But yeah, I don't think that one thing. Ray Houghton said it himself. One thing you can't say is that the Irish team don't try. It's just that's the level we're at the moment. Style of football is good, but for our forwards are not good enough. And I can't stand people who knock our national team instead of being an Irish fan. Nathan, when you look at the Irish team, you look at the League of Ireland, I'm going to say maybe something to you that maybe you won't agree with, but because there's more League of Ireland players coming into the Irish national side, is that, and I'm a League of Ireland fan, but is that a sign that we're not producing? Because the league is not of the standard that's needed to qualify for tournaments, is it?
No, it's not. And I'm not going to sit here and be one of them League of Ireland fans and say that we need to flood the Ireland team with League of Ireland players. Is there talent in the League of Ireland? Yeah, dead right there is. And there's some really exciting young prospects, and we talk about them all the time.
But they only hang around for a year or two, Nathan. They're gone then, aren't they?
Yeah, look at Liam Scales. You know, like Liam Scales up to Celtic, Dawson Devoy, another young player that I rant and rave about on a weekly basis. I really think he could go and have a good future. Like it's even there's always been in the past 10 years or so, you know, there's been a good amount of Irish players in the squad that have started their careers in the League of Ireland, but they need to get the move away. They need to go over to Scotland, England, Europe, and progress. You know, like it's in the squad now to see James Talbot in goal. You know, realistically, he's never going to play ahead of the likes of Bazunu or Kelleher. Very talented goalkeeper since he came into Bows back in 2019. But yeah, it's difficult to see them coming in the masses, the under-21s is a different level as well. Some very talented League of Ireland players down there, but yeah,
but even
they need to move away.
Just to make a point, even one of the best League of Ireland players to come out of Jack Bourne, he's finding it hard to make it a higher level outside of this country. And if he did go to England, because I think his contract may be terminated, if he does go to England, say on the next one, even though America is being touted, there's no guarantees, and probably more than likely he wouldn't even get into the championship at the moment and get a contract. The only way he'd probably do that is through Mick McCarthy, who had his eye on him, and because it would be a calculated purchase, because they wouldn't have to buy him in, and he's not demanding massive wages where they could be able to afford him. So we just don't have those type of players. Any of our players are playing in England really already. Except for a couple of the young players who come up every now and again.
And even Jack playing in England. Sorry, Nathan. Even the guys that are playing in England are drifting down the leagues as well. We're very limited in the Premier League, so we've no access to Champions League football. Very limited access to European football. And then obviously they're drifting down into the Championship and now League One. And we've a player playing in the Scottish Premier League. No disrespect, but that's where we are, and we can hark back to that day. But you look, they were all at Liverpool and United and Arsenal when they were in the front. Now, it was a different world, and I get that. But even the guys 10 and 15 years ago, they were predominantly in the Premier League and playing their trade in the best way. Probably a bit like Josh Cullen could be probably our best route to get guys playing week in, week out, and maybe starting going a bit more out onto the continent, because there's some decent leagues where they can get some access to European football as well as solid enough domestic stuff as well. So it's strange. We're in an awful time at the moment where that's where we are. We're looking at the best of our Championship and League One, and it's only going one way at the moment, unfortunately.
Yeah. Sorry to jump in there as well, Dave. You were just mentioning about Josh Cullen at Anderlecht, and we talked about that even going back to the League of Ireland route. And I do believe that they need to go away to progress themselves, and that could actually be a benefit of Brexit coming in. So they need to be over 18. So how many times have we seen League of Ireland players going straight from playing a handful of games at League of Ireland level and then making a big move over to England, and they just failed to adjust because they're not seasoned. We believe that Liam Scales could go over, just an example, because he left go over to Celtic, and I really do think that he could make a push to get into the starting 11. It's such a bad Celtic side, and they're crying out for someone, a centre half and a left back in this position so he's comfortable in. So maybe that could be the one benefit of Brexit to, in the future, bring these lads in, because they're playing a good standard in different European leagues instead of just settling at League One level or League Two level. Because I'd rather see them go over to Belgium or France or Italy, whatever it may be, and go through them academies, get that style of football, and then be playing, even if it is the Belgium league. And but the Anderlecht have a side that they're consistently in the likes of the Europa League, and like Josh Cullen, he'd be playing in these bigger games rather than just settling into the League One or League Two.
Mick McCarthy, just on the Glazers out, Mick McCarthy didn't resign. He finished up his contract because the Euros was supposed to be on 2020. So it was Stephen Kenny's time to take over. Just, Dave, we have a suggestion for a manager, and it's the Burnley manager, and give him a fly fishing rod as well. Listen, we always hear about Big Sam. He's available. Big Sam. You hear
Harry Redknapp is throwing out lately.
One of our own
players they're the type of managers who kind of suit the style of the Jack Charlton era. So, are people is it nearly sort of hammered into them now that we can only play one way? Or do we have to give this time?
Realistically, Roy, the reason why so many people are indoctrinated into that is probably because it was the only time we've qualified for tournaments. Really, because we never did before. Yeah. We qualified under Jack. Mick obviously played a different brand of ball, but then we went back. But can I burst a few people's bubbles? Like, we didn't qualify all that impressively for the 2 Euros. We came third in both groups, but because there was 24 teams, we kind of fell into the tournaments. We didn't dominate our way into them. And one of them we got embarrassed in. So, yes, that's what they're thinking. Oh, that got us to tournaments. But one of them, I'd rather we weren't there. I forgot about Big Sam. But,
there you go. Enough is enough.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, there you go.
Just on that, Dave, just there, is that where we are now? Like, it doesn't matter who we get in. Are we just at a stage that it just won't work?
Absolutely. At the moment, like, going back to being realistic, like, our talent pool, like, a lot of the lads are making the most of what they have, and unfortunately it isn't good enough. I still think it's good enough to beat Azerbaijan and Luxembourg, but I'll be honest, I think that's it, and that's why I was kind of hoping Kenny's way might get us a little bit competitive, that we might nick a point or two here then against the two bigger boys. And that's why I was hopeful for. But yeah, no matter who you get in, like, you're still going to be pumping long balls to Anadamida and my pal, and I don't think I can rely on him being the goal getter, because Ida won't be the goal getter. He'll be just the target man. Has he got good enough players around him to support him? At the moment, I would say no. So even if we do go direct, I still think we'd struggle. And I think that the writing's been on the cards. Look back at the last few qualifying campaigns, regardless of what you're a fan of. We're struggling, and we've been struggling badly. But the 2 Euro campaigns hid the fact that this has been coming for a long time, unfortunately.
Yeah. Enough is enough. Last time, this is what you said, Dave. Republic of Ireland were good when they had all the Arsenal, Liverpool and Man United players. Jackie's Army. I suppose at this stage now we might have to get the DVDs back out again, just to give us a little bit of a lift. Qatar,
spot on with it.
Pretty Irish over there.
It'll ruin Christmas anyway.
You can't even get a point over there. We didn't want to go anyway.
Okay, listen, thanks everyone for listening in and contributing. It was brilliant to have so many people contributing tonight. Tuesday night we'll be looking back over the Ireland and Serbia match and talking again about, I suppose, each individual player and how they've done over these last 3 games. It's been a disappointing first 2 games, really.
Piece of paper and just rip it between your fingers if you want instead. Probably better fun.
Exactly. Okay, makes no difference. Yeah, we don't have the players. Listen, thanks very much, everyone, and don't forget, if you haven't subscribed already, please do subscribe and share it with your friends. The Big Kickoff League of Ireland, and we have the Big Kickoff Football Show as well.